back. Hopefully, we can unravel these mysteries. Alright. So I think I should start with Anonymom here. Pretty sure it's Anonymom. Have I done a deep dive on Anonymom? Oh, I covered my mouth. Have I done a deep dive? Do I have any smoking? Let's reread this. So, I have a suspicion that Ruby Spratt is associated with him somehow and is doctoring the system. So maybe he's not a Rootree and she is. For real. Because of the song that he sang.
Attention, attention, Roottrees. This is 5-piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
We gotta find why. Alright, Anonymous.
Man, y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you.
Let me look at something else. I don't think Business Watch is gonna be it.
But look at here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick and her two dads. My pappy's class of trust should keep you away. Yo, it's the
Look at the.
catching a sermon
Ooh.
from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims.
Look at the. Oh, did I read this already?
When all of your worth it came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. But instead, I turn my other cheeks and
Alright.
spit 'em when you
This,
give me
I don't think I knew this.
no
Pickety is not afraid to expose details that other publications would shy away from. But when it comes to Anonymom and Jane Doe Rootree, they were a little late to the punch. Over a month after the announcement that Jane Doe Rootree was not a Rootree, Piketty exposed personal details about the story of Anonymom under the headline Anonymom the Anonicon.
So once more with passion, this poor tragic orphan, your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible. How I'm better off.
They said Anonymom worked as a manager at a department store in North Carolina, and her daughter's name was Courtney May. Okay. They also said that the woman that vouched for her famous cover story, they didn't identify news time, but perhaps to avoid being sued, is named Corrine S. So this is Corrine Schwartz, who I found. But I searched for all the other secretaries and I didn't find anything. And that she filed for bankruptcy. The article speculates that Anonymom and Corrine were in on it together, and even speculates they might have been lovers. Piketty is not a credible publication. Yeah, is not a credible publication. That song. Piketty is not a credible publication. Their timing was poor, and their information wasn't particularly actionable. By the time this article was published, very few people seemed to notice or care. Courtney May, huh? Well, let's look. So who do we got? Corrine S. No. Beatrice Watts and Corrine Schwartz. So they were hired at the same time, so let's look for Courtney May Watts. Because I think Beatrice Watts gets nothing. I think I wrote a note about this. I thought it was Beatrice Watts. No, it didn't. Alright. Courtney May Watts. Ooh. Printing. Courtney May has a simple website with a black text on a white background and a few images. From the view counter, you can tell you're one of a few hundred, only a few hundred people who have visited it. She's not shy about claiming that she is Jane Jo Roottrees. As proof, she has posted an obscured cover of the time she was featured on Newstime, as well as a different picture of herself that appears to be a wedding photo. The website seems to be created in defense of her mother, who has been a target of public scrutiny. Under the headline, The True Story of Jane Jo Roottrees, courtesy of Courtney May Newton, formerly Watts. Courtney May writes, Everyone has everything wrong. My mom approached Roottrees before 5Ps was ever on the cover of Newstime. Oh, okay. This seems important. They only listen to us after we appeared on TV and magazines. The site has a scanned letter from Ruby Legal Group to Courtney May's mother, Beatrice. In very polite legal terms, it seems to accuse her of exploiting their name and orders her to leave the Roottrees alone. It's dated from a few weeks before 5P's article appeared in Newstime, and it seems legitimate. Okay, the Ruby Legal Group was involved before 5Ps. Let's take a look. Gotta keep this timing in straight. Courtney May and Danny together forever. FDNY, just married. Look at that fiery red hair. Where's the other one? Beatrice Watts. Okay, so this must be she worked as a cashier. Was it? Is that what you call a cashier? I don't know about this. Let's read that again. Oh, wait. Oh, I haven't finished reading this. Courtney May also discusses her mother's magazine feature in more detail. Do you know how difficult it was to convince anyone to tell her story? My mom didn't want to show her face because everyone in the media we approached assumed she was lying because her story was just like 5Ps. But my mom's story was first. Mom was advised by Ryan in Cork. Who the hell is Ryan in Cork? To tell Newstime that seeing 5Ps on the cover was inspired her to go public. And that's not the only way Newstime would agree to it and get her on TV. But it's not true. Our story was first. Courtney's defense continues. Oh, well, much of it seems repetitive and useless. Towards the end of her page, she discusses the DNA test and defends her mother's character. My mom is amazing. She's the nicest woman in the world. She has diabetes, works at a department store, but still managed to help pay for my apartment in the big city so that I could stay with my high school sweetheart. I got a degree in nursing, so I learned about DNA in college, but I'm beginning to think it's all a lie. Mom was 100% confident that there's nobody else who could be the father. Either they did the test wrong or the DNA is complete BS. She's not there. Where did I see this? Like, did I just make this up? What did I look at? Oh, it's Piketty and Animo. Ah, I was a manager in a department store. Okay, there, that's where I saw it. Makes this manager there. Retail. Retail. Courtney May. Watts. There's a nurse. Wait. Is this gonna fill in? Like it's gonna get confirmed? So. Oh, I can put it in immediately. Well, who's her husband then? Lost picture. Danny something. Let's read that article again. I don't know her husband's name. Let's go Ryan and Cork, whoever these people are. It's an unremarkable law firm based in North Carolina, named after its senior partner, Winston Ryan and Gregory Cork. The firm mostly handles local cases and recently represented Anonymom. Their website has a section about the case, including a scan of the DNA test results that prove Jane Doe Roottrees was not a Roottrie. Really? Let's take a look at this. DNA to go. This is a DNA test you get from a website for the law firm Ryan and Cork. The test says there was virtually no chance that Anonymom's daughter, Courtney May, was a Roottrie. It lists that the DNA from a Jane Doe was tested against the DNA of Bonnie Kellogg, née Hudson. This is Guy's twin sister. But she's not identical, so how useful is this? Ryan Cork, who were representing Anonymous, have confirmed that the sample they sent to the Roottrees was definitely Courtney May's hair. There's no DNA in here. The test is from a company called Donatico, and a doctor has circled the results and signed the paper. We can search for Adrian Rowland and then Donatico. I missed his name. I don't know why I'm searching for this. It's not gonna show up. The Herald. Miami, no, it's not gonna show up. Modern Music Monthly, of course not. News Time. Piketty. Portland Telegraph. Do I have any? Danny, what's her name? Oh, let's not get sidetracked then. Donate Co. Pronounced Dinatico is a DNA testing company. DNA testing is a relatively new phenomenon that allows scientific laboratories to prove a possible family relationship between two people. It's fairly cutting edge. The method by which they test samples has only become standard in the last decade, as of the early 1990s. According to their site, Dinatico was responsible for the DNA test that proved Felix Fellows was a root tree, and even use it as an example of how a DNA test looks. They use it to provide some information about the process. Whenever they take a sample in person, they put the name of the person on the test according to their legal ID, which is why it says David instead of Felix. Alright, so his real name is David. Guy Hudson is dead, and there's no known DNA source for Guy. They tested Felix's hair versus a hair sample sent from the Roottrees. It's listed as Jane Doe because it wasn't collected in person, but the Root Tree company let them know it was from Bonnie Kellogg. And this is why it says a paternal aunt test. Okay. The left and right sets of numbers are essentially signatures that perfectly match the DNA of the two people in question, and nobody else. The way the test works is that if a certain parts of the signature are shared, then it's very likely the two people are related. As far as you can tell, Dinatico is a legitimate company. They don't seem to have any reason to create fake results or hide the truth. Well, it doesn't say the matching here. Because she's not an so he only has half Guy Hudson's DNA, and she has at most, well, she could have more because the parents are the same. But you can get very it's very possible that they have very different portions of their parents' DNA. It's, I guess, it could be it looks like they're not related. That's a very long shot. But they get half from the mother, half from the father, and then the sister can get exactly the other half and the other half, which is unlikely, but it's possible. Okay, I don't know what these numbers mean. Adrian Rowland, PhD. It's on their website. Let's compare. Signature looks the same. How am I going to find out her husband's name? Did I miss it? Not a mom. I don't see. High school sweetheart. Daniel. But who's that? Alright, let's look for the FDNY. It's not gonna come. How am I supposed to find his name? I've lost the picture. Where's the picture? Huh? Am I blind? I am blind. Oh, it's an ambulance. Oh, FDNY. I looked for Beatrice Watts. I'm afraid of putting it in. Alright, I'll put it in. Nurse. Okay, are these not gonna get confirmed? Oh, I just gotta do it. The question is, how am I going to find out her name? I got all the smoking guns, but I don't know her husband's name. Why is she named Jane Doe here? Alright. They tested her as Jane Doe. 15, 16, 15, 16, 9, 11, 12. No, this is different. Not a girl. Okay. I don't know how I missed the name. Search for that. Her high school sweetheart. Boston. Was there a newspaper in Boston? I can search for the Corinne Schwartz stuff again. Piketty. Wait a minute, what's Anonymous? North Carolina. Search for Corinne Schwartz again, just a review. From local stations in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, this is Butler County. It appears she lives beyond Butler County limits. The National Tabloid. Still in middle school. Is that Piketty? Telephoto. Lose time. Alright, I don't know why I don't have her name. Like, did I just not read it? What last names do we have? Could be anything. Alright. What is Clementine Sterling? Mary Beth Quaker. Is her name Mary Beth? Yeah, okay. New Edison. Oh. It claims that the famous being sued by the state of Thomas Edison versus Edsel. Oh. Okay. Maybe his name is Edsel. Since the other two didn't work, maybe that'll lock in. It's blue. I'm really annoyed that I can't find his name, so let's see. Okay. I'm pretty sure I remember. It could be. The timelines fit, but there's no actual evidence that he is the son. This one, the wife thought it was him, but then it was Mark. Costa Rica. Used to be named Lucinda. as an advocate for the benefits of adoption. I think Billy Sims. Why is this? Was paid for Tostarito Jacobson. Oh. She and her son are welcome to stay, and I guess so. The kid, the older son was already alive, so he's definitely not. She disappeared for a while, and then she had the kid. I think it's probably, but Edith. Edith is also mentions that Helen Roottrees and Lucinda Jacobson. Edith and her sister were arrested for trespassing in the Miracle Church of Butler County. They were pretending to be church employees in an attempt to get to the room. They were caught by Helen Roottrees, who was there at the time while her husband Miracle was away preaching. Helen Roottrees was quoted as saying, "Jesus forgives, so do we. The Lord works in mysterious ways." Edith Jacobson? And then arrest. Oh, this is old. I don't know, man. It seems like it's pointing towards it, but what's the significance of this Edith person? Costa Rica. My hunch is that he is. But can I prove this? Bail was paid by this person. Just for a greater purpose, so maybe they're using them. They mention Edith somewhere else. Expensive. Billy Sims incidents. Oh, I'm missing things. I have to go through stuff. Where do I start? Alright. Zach wants when he retired, the guy has it probably 1 or 2 weeks after they quit. Let's see if we can verify this. Okay, mother was Joanna. Joanna Fellows, 1976. They left. So, Guy Hudson replaced him after she's already left. Okay, that's one strike. Alright, his name is David, apparently, too. Okay. His name is David. Right? David. So that's another lie. I keep getting lost. This is the one I played. He's a singer, right? The Fountain of Youth, also known as the Foster Fountain, is a fountain found in a small park in Portland. All proceeds from the change thrown into the fountain are donated to the foster care system. A website for the Portland Parks and Recreation mentions under a trivia section that the Fountain of Youth was originally conceived by Ruby Spratt, an alumni of the foster care system, as more businesses Portland signed on as sponsors group. I read this. The targets. David Fellows. Dirty Davy. Dirty Devil. Discrepancies. Yes, I can jump. David Fellows. Five P's. Goody. Five P's. David Fellows. Blast. David Fellows. 5Ps. Ooh. 5Ps is popular and attractive enough that even though his music is not targeted towards teen girls, they seem to be paying attention anyways. While he wasn't alone, while he hasn't done any interviews with the magazine, they've listed him among the hunky hotties for the past few months with a small bios that tell you the various facts about him. This includes his real name, David, his birthday, February 9th, 1977, his star sign, Aquarius, and where he grew up, foster care in Portland. I deleted 5Ps. Crap. Alright. Where did I put all of Ruby stuff? Okay, here, okay. Letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible that he was born in 1977, as he claimed on a song called 17 Magazine. That he turned 17 in 1992. What? That would be 15. Right? In response to the statement, that they've reached out to his agent to ask about the song, and they were told it wasn't performed by 5Ps and that they shouldn't print rumors. Okay. Foster care in Portland, huh? Wait, did that update the... I don't know how many did I have. I did. Search. 17 Magazine, sometimes referred to as 17 Magazine, is the title of an unreleased and controversial song by Dirty Davy. There's mentions of it on a few sites, claiming that it was on the first release of his first mixtape but was removed. There's no audio or visual evidence of it existing, but there are independent accounts from the people who have claimed to have heard it, and they do generally line up. According to their recollection, it was about many different loosely connected occurrences on the number 17, mostly violent. The intro states that it was written on Davy's 17th birthday and involves a fictional but glorified series of murders at a fashion show for a teenage magazine with a similar name to the song title. The person doing the violence was apparently trying to beat Dahmer's high score. The guy has pleaded guilty to killing 16 people in 1992. Due to major acts of gun violence in schools earlier this year and the subsequent backlash against violent music and video games, it is generally considered in very poor taste to bring it up. Most of the people that enjoy mentioning it are online are either trolls trying to shock the internet or come from morbidly curious corners of the internet. We're 17 Magazine. Can I search for this? What's before this? There's 17 Magazine. I found one. 17 Magazines. Roottrees Rift. Courtney Mae Watts. Courtney Mae was first. Oh! There it is, right there. Daniel Newton. Big Newton. Alright, what can I be missing? What's this one? Ah, I can't find it. Will be the good prizes. I see that actually approached sometime in late March, after the Roottrees Rift, but well before Roottrees Mania. Okay, before Roottrees Mania. When was Roottrees Mania? What? I don't understand. This is quite, and they officially hired her in early April. Portland. Fountain of Youths. Found an article about the dedication ceremony for the local Portland landmark called the Fountain of Youths. Apparently, at the unveiling of the fountain, the mayor of Portland made a speech, and there were performances by multiple local entertainers, as well as a ribbon cutting from the people most instrumental in building the fountain into bringing the fountain to fruition. The article calls out that all the performers and speakers, with the exception of the mayor, were foster care alumni, and most of them grew up together as close friends. This includes poets, musicians, and dancers. Dirty David was listed among one of the musicians. Okay. Ruby Spratt and David Fellows are close friends. Alright, there's a conflict of interest here. Look at that. This is already here. Alright, he's lied about things, and Ruby Spratt is his close friend. Uh-huh. Dirty Davy. Dirty Davy, right? Dirty Davy. Alright. I suspect it's a ploy. Because of, you know, game logic. She's in on it. So by contrast, and by her fiery red hair, she should be one, right? Let's see, when she talks about when she actually put it in. Is it doctored? Thirty-one oh 120, 31 oh 130, does that mean anything? This test is older. Well, let's take a look at this. Let's see if they match. Jane Doe, 15, 15, 16, 15, 16, 9, 11. Okay, this is different. This is not the same person. So, I think that's kind of a smoking gun. Now, how can we be sure she is? Let's read her stuff again. Did we see that? No, I didn't. All right. Okay. I game logic. It's gonna be one of them. Who's next? Uh-huh. Like, if it's any of them, it's gonna be the older brother. Let's see. Let's review. That's the Elizabeth. I remember that. My dad. Stephen Garland. He wrote a book. Oh, here. Mark Zimmer. What? Alright. Kitchen Tales was a story-based recipe book credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured in a morning talk show. The book released before the internet was widespread, so mentions are rare. One book collector states that the publishers were unprepared for the demand and there is no second printing, so it's unusual to find a copy in the wild. You find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients. It mentions that one of the Kitchen Tales recipes uses salt water. The owner of the site has included a scan of that recipe. If you switch out the salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filtered seawater, it tastes great. Right, this is gonna be... Alright, it's a smoking gun for some reason. Combines recipes and stories. It has a mild popularity but seemed to disappear from online marketplaces in 1992. You found a scan of one story on the website. It demonstrates how to bake the plated loaf. Plated. For 2 years. For years, two bakers, Flora and Yates, flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard. He adored her rosemary cheeks. They thought sweetly about one another, but he was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flora's tears began to salt her bread. The recipe asks the reader to combine flour, yeast, sugar, olive oil, and rosemary. Combine the salt and water together and add the mixture and whisk until the dough begins to form. It was 10 to 12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position at the king's personal baker. Yates had found success as well. He baked for the kingdom's 45 diplomats. One day they returned from the Dutch Isles with a gift. 450 unbaked loaves. They were sent to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. Allow the dough to prove for 10 to 12 hours. Then spread it out and let it sit for 45 minutes on a floured baking sheet with no kneading. Next, prepare Dutch oven preheated to 450 degrees. Upon seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not been made aware of the gift that had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, adding more salt to her dough. Cut the dough into 2 equal pieces and lightly sprinkle salt on the top of only one of them. Yates eased her pain. He insisted that she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible, but he shared her fear of retribution. He knew if they did not solve her predicament, they'd miss their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one. Thus was born the plated loaf. For a quickly spread of this new delight, the king's decree on the royal parchment that would be considered a delicacy. Roll and twist the pieces to entwine them Then take the twist and wrap around inside the Dutch oven, atop parchment from outside inward to make a spiral. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days together. They traveled for 45 years and settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regrets. As they bake for 45 minutes, remove lid and observe until crust is golden brown, which could take up to 15 minutes. Well, that's a very... Sounds like she might have been pregnant when they met again. But let's find the facts. Christine Farrell. I found stuff about her before. The second is from months later. A listing for his weekend working classes, Gourmet. The blurb mentions that he's been giving lessons for the last month. Sued by Garland after Garland saw Zimmer promoting his book, Kitchen Tales. This recipe book was particularly plagiarized. Antonelli's. Who was a chef in that place many years ago when she delivered produce from it. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there. Although they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven, and they're both working as much as they can see the secretary, and went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money. $1977. Up to the end of last year. Alright. That seems to check out. Was she pregnant with him? I'm tempted to guess. I've been playing this game too long. Like, I don't see any smoking guns for any of it. Is there any dates? Oh, what? I think. I'm gonna say yes. It seems to fit. Oh, I missed something. Pretty sure. Lang. In vitro fertilization. Hygienes. Key Genes was a medical company with operations both US and China. They made international news in 1994 after a whistleblower came forward. Apparently, their services were in some cases falsified. But, well, they did often perform IVF. The whistleblower proved that a few of their customers paid for a very different service, an alibi. The company would claim they performed IVS on someone who was already pregnant and create a cover story for high-profile families who did not want to give up the child, didn't want the shame of an unmarried mother. The whistleblower claimed that they had to do at least six times, but only provided proof of one case: the daughter of an American politician who was unrelated. All right. Key Genes shut down soon after, and both founders have reportedly fled to Lebanon, where there is no extradition treaty to either China or the US. Well, this implies that she is a daughter, but is there is it evidence? Yes. Key Genes. How about that? As mentioned once in an article, you already read about the head of Lang Tai, and then again later, there's a long article that spells out a huge controversy. It seems that a whistleblower came forward to the US government about Key Genes, which was said to have been founded in China by a partnership involving American and Chinese medical specialists, who then built their medical facilities in the United States. The article mentions the whistleblower claim Key Genes will sometimes claim that they performed IVS when they did not. This would often be used as excuse for an otherwise unexplainable pregnancy, and they fly their clients to America, where they would stay for an extended period of time, then return to China with news of a successful IVF pregnancy. The whistleblower apparently presented the Department of Health and Human Services with credible evidence at the time of the article, which was still an ongoing investigation, but Business Watch speculated, after copies of proof were leaked to various media sources, that they couldn't imagine a world in which the company would be allowed to continue operation without facing serious legal or financial consequences. Well, this heavily... okay. It heavily implies that she is a daughter. Let's review. Alright, I'm sick of this. Okay, let's say she is. This guy's got red hair. I think I remember reading this. It's pretty heavily implied that he is. Now these ones. Is Mistress Susie. What else? Well, Susie's the parent, we know that. What about her husband? Oh, her husband got really annoyed and said that, and he stormed off. Well, he's convinced. It's good enough for me. Oh my god. I have nothing on these people. Okay. Let's go through their parents. William Forsythe. Starting it. Oh, Wild Bill Williams. It's old. Roottrees. Does this update anything? Update. William Forsythe. Albert Williams. Ooh. Albert Williams, an actor known for his role in The Fortune Favors the Grave, did not make an appearance at Gwyn's Roottrees' funeral. Because of his absence, there were rumors online he must have already died. But according to a reporter that tracked him down, he's in his 70s, he still lives in Paris, is in perfectly fine health. He even went on record saying, "I think it was Mark Twain who said the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. That seems appropriate today." The few years I spent with Gwyn were just one stop along a very long and complicated journey that has been my life and career. The last time we spoke was when I signed the divorce papers. She asked me never to contact her or the kids again. I have always respected those wishes. They never reached out to me either, even as adults, so I have to assume they have some idea of why she hated me so much and the sacrifices she made on my behalf. I wish them well, and I'm sorry for their loss. We've all been strangers for 40 years, so I can confidently say they wouldn't have wanted me to be there. In fact, I'm confident my presence would have ruined it. Alright, that update worked. Ron Roottrees, huh? This stuff. I read this. I didn't update this though. Seems like they have no project list in develop other than Guys Like Us remake. Alright. Guys Like Us remake has been discussed a few times on a website about upcoming films called Movie News. The rumored cast is Cameron Diaz in the role originated by Gwyn, Linda Fiorentino, and Chris O'Donnell. These are real people. According to leaked news, the remake has been put on indefinite hiatus due to its director, who is speculated to be Ron Roottrees, dropping out of the wake of a serious medical issue. It's only a rumor. This is updated. It's a comedy in which secretaries cut their hair short to pose as businessmen. I think I read this. Starring Glenn Roottrees, Leslie Florence, and Harrison Lane. I gotta search for all these people again. It was fairly popular, and the box office made its budget back. was seen as somewhat formulaic, and it didn't really stand the test of time compared to other classics of the era. It was recently released for the first time on home video due to the Roottrees mania, and the time it took to manufacture and ship the VHS copies of Guys Like Us. That it missed the height of the craze, which only lasted a few weeks. Even so, it did sell modestly, and there have been talks of a remake. Old. This has been updated. Interesting. Leslie Florence was one of the other actors besides Gwen Roottrees in Guys Like Us. Before Guys Like Us, she was in a very few small supporting roles, and her performance in Guys Like Us was generally thought of as quite good, especially considering she got second billing to Gwen. Even with the success and acclaim, she retired from Hollywood almost immediately after her co-starring role. Not much was known about her recently when Guys Like Us was re-released right at the tail end of Roottrees mania. Recently, as part of a myriad of articles and research people have done those surrounding the Roottrees, it came out that she died of a genetic disease known as Huntington's. The late 1960s, Huntington's. Well, Ron just got sick, didn't he? Huntington's is a neurodegenerative disease that is most recognizably causes memory issues and uncontrollable movements in the limbs. After symptom onset somewhere between the age of 30 and 50, those affected by Huntington's typically live another 15 to 18 years as their symptoms worsen. There is no cure. Huntington's is passed on genetically from parent to child. The gene that causes Huntington's works in such a way that if a parent has the disease, there is a 50-50 chance that their child will get it. Huntington's cannot be passed on recessively, meaning it cannot skip a generation. In other words, if someone has a mother or father with Huntington's and they themselves did not receive it from that parent, their children and their grandchildren will also never have it. Till recently, until the early 1990s, but can't you be a carrier? If it can't be passed on recessively, but can't you meet another carrier and then you can have a child with it? Till the early 1990s, it was impossible to test for Huntington's. Instead, symptoms would usually appear late in life. So Gwen didn't have it then. This would often be after the person affected already had children, and then be impossible to know if their children had it. There's a 50-50 chance. In 1993, due to determining which gene causes Huntington's, it did become possible to test children for it and know if the disease was passed on or not. For a variety of complex reasons, however, children are often considered unable to consent to such a test and are therefore rarely tested unless they are showing early symptoms. Well, can we find out if Ronald has this disease? Did this add anything? Oh wow, I just found a bunch of stuff. Periodicals. Silver Screen Magazine. Guys Like Us. Come on. Oh, Bill Williams. Did I just look for this? I did. I think I did. This is the old one. Ah! Get out of there. Did I knock something? Hmm. Oh, the wife. Penelope Tessa Green. Spell wrong. What? Oh, that must have been a smoking gun. Comedian Penelope Tessa Green was part of a recent fundraiser at the Reno Comedy Club, the Laugh Lounge, about a month ago. The fundraiser was called The Best Medicine and was to help find a cure for Huntington's disease. Alright, she released a statement. Up until recently, I didn't know anything about Huntington's disease. In the last few months, I've gone from knowing nothing about it to learning more than any one person should ever have to. Until less than a decade ago, it was impossible to predict if someone susceptible to Huntington's had the disease, but due to the advances in medicine, tests have been developed. Hopefully, this increased awareness is the first step to finding a cure. Please join me for a night of comedy and a good cause. Alright, the ultimate irony. I think I know where this is going. Ronald is actually not a Rootree, but Robbie is. If she was pregnant. Did I do everybody? How do I confirm? What do I do now? Did I miss somebody? What do I do now? Did I not fill in this properly? Did not. He worked as a manager. Oh, I see. There's an I'm ready button here. Okay. Where was it? Retail. Alright, I kind of fudged this, but I'm going by hunches. Whatever. I'm ready to be done. Oh, okay, found his name finally. Waiting outside the door?
Beatrice and Courtney May. Clark, can you swing another test against Bonnie's DNA?
This time I'll be sure to have them verify both samples in person.
Using the family tree you filled out, as well as DNA tests, we were able to uncover the truth behind all the inconsistencies. Clark's
Really?
handling the business, but I've come to thank you and fill you in on everything we've learned. Buckle up, because it's been one heck of a week.
Did I get everything right?
Actually, that's an understatement. It's not every week you discover your family company is being sabotaged by someone they trusted, but that's the kind of time we've been having. Like I said, buckle up. Maybe grab some popcorn. We'll start with Guy Hudson. Guy had a frankly ridiculous number of potential children. What shocked me is how many graduated from potential to confirmed. We can even prove he was aware of them. The smoking gun was how he used company money to pay off a lot of women.
Do you have a code? I thought that might be true, but I didn't actually crack the code.
He hid it with a method inspired by his idol, Elias. 5-piece flavors. The flavors he was paying to research were a
I was
ruse.
right, but there's a way to prove
He
this.
developed flavors based on the initials of the women he was paying. Which
Ah,
was really stupid, considering one of their names started with X.
yeah, I thought Shigua, Shinyu, strawberry, sugar plum, butterscotch. Okay. And the money stopped. Okay, I was right in my suspicion, but I didn't confirm
Let's
it.
start with Christine. Guy was paying her under the name Caviar, but there were some other clues. James was born 9 months after Zach's party.
Mhm.
Christine was there with Guy, and when she got pregnant, she panicked. Steve stepped up. He even turned it into one of his recipe stories. Not all of Guy's affairs led to offspring. He may have slept with Robin Martin, but she didn't have children, so we'll never know. Also,
Yeah.
not every child of Guy's affair partners were his. Robert Garland was born after his parents had already moved to Boston.
Yeah.
Skipping Beatrice for now. Up next is Lang Xin-yu. When Guy showed up in China, she was into America. And Americans. Dare I say redheads, even? When she got pregnant,
why?
her father paid key genes to fake IVF. They claimed her sister was unable to conceive.
Yeah, but is this proof, though? Like I suspected.
But her sister and Jerry had their own son, Mark.
Mm.
Sonia
Oh, that
Alvarez was soon
inconsistency in the
after.
story, yeah.
Nia was married at a very young age to a much older husband. She resented him. I don't blame her. They allegedly spent no. Guy was in Brazil during Christmas 1979. It's the only Christmas not in the records.
Ah,
Flavio was born 9 months later, and like the others, Guy started paying Sonia. Last was Susan Ford, hired to translate for Guy's overseas trips. It's easy to read into Guy's donation to her school, but there's no definitive proof there. She and Guy were witnessed together near the end of his life. Susan's husband was convinced he couldn't be the father of her daughters. Guy, though, paid double. The price of twins.
I wish I cracked the code instead of just suspecting it.
So, what about 5 Ps? Felix Fellow's mother, Joanna, doesn't have a 5 pieces flavor. On top of that, his story doesn't really add up.
Well, he had a lot of inconsistencies.
His mother already left the company by the time Guy became president, and his lyrics indicate he was born sometime around 1975. Alone, that wouldn't necessarily prove it. But there are some suspicious connections between Felix and the company's current lawyer.
Yeah, I wonder
Ruby
if there's any
Spratt.
more definitive
They
connections.
both grew up in Portland, in foster care, and according to the local paper, they definitely knew one another. Ruby was the one who approached the Roottrees to begin with. It was all us. Ruby and Felix saw my book's challenge to the Clancet Trust as an opportunity. His mother really had worked for Roottree, and Ruby was a respected lawyer. She exploited my family's greed, worked her way into control of the trust, and ensured Felix got a piece. But they made some mistakes along the way. If you look at the 2 DNA tests that Ruby handled,
Yeah, I
they were
got
both
this.
supposedly tested against Bonnie Hudson.
But they're not the same person.
But the 2 signatures that should both represent Bonnie don't match. After Clark and I confronted her, Ruby lawyered
Oh,
up.
this signature.
Ironic, I know. We suspect Ruby had Donatico test Felix against his own mother's DNA. He had a hairbrush of hers. They sent the female sample in remotely.
Yeah, yeah.
On the second test, Bonnie's sample was tested locally, but Courtney May's was not.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby's been throwing away samples. We think she sent her own. Ruby and Felix were in cahoots. As for why, they were a noble effort. But once they became just as greedy as the worst members of my family. They were so eager to personally wield the wealth for their own cause that they sabotaged any other claim. That finally brings us to Anonymom, aka Beatrice Watts. She even approached Ruby before 5Ps was on news time. Ruby used Beatrice's truths to make Felix's lies feel real, then ruin the DNA test so that I feel worse for her. While Ruby and Felix stole the show, there were some other potential new family members as well. Miracle Roottrees was less of an open and shut case. That said, it's very likely he had a son with Mary Beth Clementine.
Yeah, but is that proof?
Not Stuart. Mary Beth adopted him. That leaves Mark. He showed up about 9 months after Mary Beth visited me. If that's not enough on its own, he was also bailed out by the sister of Edith Roottrees, Miracle Jr.'s wife, after she changed her name to win that silly. Our best guess is that Mark was told by his mother whose son
That's
he
who
was,
she is.
and used that fact. We have no
I
real proof
forgot.
of that, but nothing else.
Alright, I'm still not sure this is smoking gun.
Elias's affair was the most Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias to do things he wouldn't have otherwise done, like pressure to include me in the family. My son even mentioned them arguing about someone named Beth. Combined with Gwyneth's lisp, it's possible the name was actually Bess.
But isn't Bess short for Elizabeth anyway?
Unfortunately, all we know about Bess Williams is that she wrote his book and died not long after, leaving her only son an orphan. The timeline fits with Wildcat, but there's no record if she had any other relationship. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Elias cheated. Of course, that means we haven't been able to do a DNA test. As Clark mentioned, from here on out, all of our DNA tests will be in person.
Maybe he is, maybe he
Lastly,
isn't.
we have a bit of a curveball. Ron Roottrees isn't related to us by blood. Gwyn was definitely pregnant, so it's likely Robbie is.
What a fun little
When
irony.
Ron and Robbie went to visit their mother at the end of her life, something changed. Additionally, there have been a few rumors circling around Ron. RR Productions canceled the Guys Like Us remake due to the director's illness. At the same time, Ron's wife Penelope began doing benefits for Huntington's disease, stating that she had become familiar with it. Huntington's is the same disease that Gwyn's former co-star Leslie Florence had. It's passed from parent to child. It can't skip a generation. Because Gwyn and Wild Bill didn't have Huntington's, and Ron seems to, it's impossible Gwyn was his mother. I recently confirmed all this with Ron. At the end of her life, Gwyn told Ron the story. Leslie and Bill had an affair the same year Leslie learned she had Huntington's. Leslie got pregnant. Leslie wasn't likely to survive to see her child grow up. And even if Gwyn did, mere weeks after she found out she was having her own son, she also took in Ron. Wild Bill was a problem. Unreliable and a serial adult. Gwyn had already told Starlet she was pregnant, so it never really made waves when people saw her with a child in Paris. There was gossip during her divorce when she was discovered to be pregnant again. In actuality, it was the final months of her only pregnancy. To lay low, she stayed in Paris long enough that even her own family never had reason to question the time. It's one heck of a story, and frankly, nobody could be expected to piece the timeline together, not with what few mentions of Gwyn's past have survived. But Ron suing Robbie to remove him from the Clancet Trust was a huge finding out that it's been pretty much backwards this whole time has been a bit surreal.
It was too good to pass up
So that's where we're
for the
at.
writers.
Looking over the information you sent us was invaluable. You got everything absolutely correct.
Wonderful.
Why did we even bother hiring a team? You figured it all out solo.
It wasn't easy, let me tell you.
All this information, this entire story. It's a lot, in more ways than one. Some of it has the potential to destroy marriages and ruin relationships. We're handling it all very, very carefully, but we couldn't have gotten here without you. And with that, I guess our tale has finally, truly come to an end. What a strange one it was. No words can express how grateful I am to you.
Yet
for
you continue to
entangling
use
this
them.
mess. Honestly, I've had enough of my family's eccentricities and scandals for one lifetime. I imagine you have as well. And if not, well, there's always Elias's and Gwyneth's brothers and sisters.
Attention, attention, Roottrees. This is 5 Piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived.
And here are the credits. Oh, this song again.
Man, y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it, based on your family's creations. Yo, but looky here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick and her two dads. My pappy's cleansing trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing, catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're sinners cause we didn't earn it, when all of your worth it came free with your name. You expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. How about instead I turn my other cheeks and spread them? When you give me a kiss, you'll know just what
Godot.
I mean.
Or is it Godot? I wonder.
Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burning spoons with a needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan how your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. How wanting my share.
That's actually extortion. With your candy ass
No.
synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I came up on the streets. The only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk. Hypocrisy, monopoly is toppling. When I knock, have keys.
Oh.
My pockets, please.
Cause the same God that
Took
gave
longer
us
than I
all
hoped.
from me is
Too
what
many
he wants,
roadblocks.
right? You to live in poverty, and if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally.
Oh, original game.
Class action.
Never played the original.
Over my way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Bring the choir in.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Yeah.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Whoever caused
Is it over?
the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you.
It is. Well, that's the Roottrees are dead. Rootree Mania. Thank you for watching. See you next time.